Vast wealth on one hand, and vast stupidity on the other. At first glance, they might seem to have very little to do with one another. But in the history of television, they've had a very intimate embrace. And I will expand on this concept, this thought, for the next few minutes. Perhaps the architect of the successful television network was William S. Paley, who made a small fortune in the cigar business in the 1920s, bought a string of radio stations and created the CBS radio network, and was positioned after World War II to move into television. He saw the vast potential of mass marketing advertising messages using media such as radio and television. But at the same time, he was quite proud of his network, and in the early days of CBS television, they had things like Playhouse 90. I think they had plays like Requiem for a Heavyweight, and they had other things that were certainly not mass audience appeal programming content. But sometime around the late 1950s, Paley, in a watershed moment, decided that he could take the high road and make CBS something he could be proud of culturally, or he could take the low road and go for the big bucks. And that's, of course, what he chose, because it was pretty tempting to, when he saw the potential for wealth and power that going the low road would bring him, to not go down that path. So that's what he did. And really, he was the template for all of his reign at CBS, to set the standard for NBC and ABC and every other major mass marketing enterprise, really. The idea being that the broader the reach, the bigger the audience, the more eyeballs can be delivered to the advertisers and ultimately to the merchants selling their wares, and consequently the more valuable the media property. Vast wealth, vast stupidity. Not strange bedfellows at all. Intimately involved with one another, if you want to really understand the nature of the mass media. As Marshall McLuhan often told us, structures often become, the structure of a media often becomes more visible as it starts to fall apart, as it starts to be seen in the rearview mirror, as it recedes, as it's being taken over or supplanted by some new media. And certainly we can sort of see that now perhaps more clearly than ever, as the mainstream media and the mass media are falling apart, as their economic model is crumbling. It's quite clear that their whole hegemony was based on homogenization, not only of the products they sold, but of the mentalities of the recipients of their messages, meaning you and me, the American people. In other words, for Beverly Hillbillies and the associated sponsors that sponsored that show to have a vast reach, they had to make some assumptions about what we thought was funny, what would get us coming back week after week, and that meant that obviously there was something we had a lot in common. It may not be something to be proud of, but it's something we had in common. Vast wealth, vast stupidity. Not really strangers at all, if you think about it.